Across the SpiderVerse was packed to the brim with breathtaking animation, beautiful settings, and wonderfully written characters. One of the best of the bunch, however, at least in my opinion, was none other than Hobie Brown. In fact, I'm so excited to do this character study that I'm going to do my first ever face reveal right now. 3, 2, 1.
Wait. You think I'm gonna show you my secret identity? Come out of it.
Okay, seriously though, Hobie Brown is actually one of the most important characters in the entire movie, and it may not seem like it at first, but his actions have huge consequences for the rest of the characters, especially Miles and Gwen. Hobie is what I would like to call the unconventional mentor character, and today I want to break down what exactly makes him not only very unique, but also an effective mentor. So, two things really quick before we start. One, spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen the movie yet, but if you haven't seen it at this point and you're watching this video, like, what are you doing, bro? 2, if you like this video and want to see more character studies and movie reviews, then please leave a like and subscribe as it really helps me out. And be sure to drop your favorite Hobie Brown moment or quote in the comments. Okay, with all of that out of the way, let's begin the review. Alright, Ghost Host, you say that Hobie Brown is a unique mentor, but what makes him so special from traditional mentor characters? Well, as I have alluded to in my previous SpiderVerse videos, this movie was great at setting up the audience by having certain aspects appear like they were going to follow a cliched format and then would try something completely new and fresh. Take a look at the Spot, for example. He was set up to be a villain of the week, followed all the traditional story beats of a first act showcase villain, and then completely subverted expectations and transformed into the main threat of the film. Much in the same way, Hobie Brown is set up to be the cliched rival character to Miles, the potential love interest of Gwen. Miles' introduction to him is Gwen telling him that she spends the night in his dimension sometimes, and when he asks her about it, she seems to brush off his concerns. Even Previctor asks Gwen if Miles knows about Hobie, implying that there's something more between the two, which would again be a classic aspect of a typical rival character. Hobie's first actual appearance in the film displays this to an even more significant degree, with him coming in and succeeding in breaking the force field where Miles had failed, instantly getting the approval of Previctor and even informing Gwen that she left her toothbrush at his place, further hinting at Miles' fear of something romantic between the two. Furthermore, the two seem to butt heads during the fight, with Hobie's personality making him a nuisance for Miles. In most forms of media, the qualities of a potential love interest who seemingly outperforms the main character and annoys them, those qualities would almost certainly be attached to a character that is going to be the rival for the protagonist, which is why many people, including myself, originally perceived Hobie Brown as being set up to be the rival character in this movie. But just like I stated earlier in the video, SpiderVerse was excellent at setting up story elements that appeared to give the indication of stereotypical roles and beats, but then masterfully subverted those expectations in order to make memorable and refreshing twists. Even though this scene in the reactor room mostly seems to set up Hobie as a rival for Miles, there is one part that hints at his true role in the film, and that is when Hobie gives Miles advice on how to properly use his powers to shoot back the energy he absorbed in order to break the shield. A single moment of genuine care in the midst of a scene filled with the setup of a cliched rival. A moment that could easily be mistaken for some sort of arrogant taunt. But make no mistake, this is the first moment that hints at the true role Hobie will play in Across the SpiderVerse. Aside from setup, however, Hobie's personality and characteristics don't exactly fit with what most moviegoers would expect from a mentor. A mentor is traditionally someone who's much older and wiser than the protagonist, and is usually a character with a reserved personality and a level-headedness to them, always disciplined. Did any of those characteristics sound like I was describing Hobie Brown? No, but yet surprisingly, that is still the role he fills. And next, we're gonna analyze how Hobie not only fulfills his duties of a mentor character, but how he does so effectively. In order to answer this question, we must take a look at what a mentor character's role in a movie is. The mentor is a character who has certain insights not yet shared by the protagonist, and through time spent together helps to change the protagonist for the better, setting them up for success and character growth through their teachings. Oftentimes, a mentor will change the main character's perspective on a certain issue, and that change in perspective will be what allows them to overcome an obstacle that their old self would have failed to conquer. Now let's take a look at Hobie's interactions with Miles after this reactor room scene. He willingly, although seemingly begrudgingly, listens to Miles' instructions instructions in order to help save a bunch of innocent people, appearing to break away from his rival character setup. In a traditional movie, a character like Hobie Brown would have disobeyed Miles, put the team and innocent people at risk, and this action would have further heightened the tension between the protagonist and the rival. Instead, when Hobie is willing to obey Miles in this scene and work together with him for the greater good right off the bat, it signals to the audience that he is not the formulaic rival character he was set up to be. After the Moonbatten scene, Hobie asks Gwen how much he has told Miles about his place in the Spider Society, how he is the original anomaly, and when Gwen reveals that she hasn't told him anything about it yet, it is a subtle setup for Hobie's next scene with Miles. I just want to say really quick that this exchange is genius, because with that added context in mind, Hobie understanding that Miles is extremely ignorant about what he's really getting involved in, that context completely changes the scene where he talks to Miles as they approach Miguel. Because of that previous scene with Gwen, we know that Hobie feels genuine concern for Miles, and he wants Miles to start to question his perspective on the Spider Society. Up until this point, it has been Miles' goal to be good enough to be accepted on the team, to feel that acceptance from his peers, and to have people not just see him as a kid who's incapable of living up to the expectations of being Spider-Man. He wants to join so he can get a watch to visit his friends, yes, but there is also a sense of belonging that he is searching for, people who can understand him, and he thinks he will get that from the Spider Society. Hobie, by nature, is one of the few Spider-Men that retains his individuality enough to not just go along with whatever Miguel says about canon events. He may be a part of the Spider Society, but it is only out of necessity to learn how to make his own watch and do his own thing, as well as watching out for his friends like Gwen and Pravictor. It is this independent thinking towards the Spider Society that Hobie tries to pass on to Miles, as he starts questioning Miles on why he really wants to join the team and have him consider what he really might be signing up for. Thematically, he is trying to teach Miles that he doesn't need to join some Spider-Man team in order to be proven as Spider-Man. He doesn't need the acceptance or approval of others to be validated, just the approval of himself. And when push comes to shove and Miles is confronted with the choice to give in to Miguel's demands and let his dad die, or retain his individual thinking and act in accordance to what he thinks Spider-Man is supposed to be, he ultimately chooses the path shown to him by Hobie. He chooses to do his own thing. After following Hobie's guidance and choosing to think for himself, Hobie becomes his mentor one more time by reminding him the technique he taught him earlier to help Miles escape and go form his own destiny. One of the main themes for Miles' character throughout Across the SpiderVerse is to choose to be his own Spider-Man, to blaze his own trail. He doesn't need a tragic backstory or dead parents to be an authentic Spider-Man. He can make his own way and not have to conform to the ideals of what others like Miguel think Spider-Man has to be like. At its core, Across the SpiderVerse is a story about a 15-year-old boy choosing who he wants to be as he starts becoming an adult, about a boy not having to conform to the stereotypes and expectations placed on him, but instead deciding for himself what he should do. And when I describe the main theme of Spider-Verse like that, who does that theme of individuality remind you of the most? Yeah, the character who helps Miles change his perspective and feel at peace choosing his own destiny. It may not seem like it, but Hobie Brown is a mentor in Across the SpiderVerse, and a very unique and effective mentor at that. Of course, there are many other aspects that make Hobie a fan favorite, but today I just wanted to break down the genius way he subtly acts as an unconventional mentor character in the movie. If you enjoyed my review, then you'd probably like my other Spider-Verse videos, so be sure to check some of those out, like my Miguel O'Hara or Spot character studies, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you all on the next one. Have a great day.